theme for this month is spiritual guidance and personal responsibility. I just want to say a little bit about personal responsibility. I heard or read, or I don't know what I did. Maybe I actually made it up. But it seemed real. It seemed good, so I'm going to repeat it. That after 35, you have to give up blaming anyone else for your life. So for those of you that are under 35, you've got a few years left. Otherwise, this talk's for you. Because one of the ways that we can feel more personally responsible and be able to take on that responsibility is if we know that what we're doing is the right thing to do. Isn't that true? I mean, how many of you don't move forward because you don't know what to do? And how many of you have a burning question that you'd like some information to today? Just a few of you? Who raise anyone else? Okay, for everybody else, just buy the CD, you'll need it someday. Because we all want direction sometime, right? Well, the talk is about intuition, but I actually found myself, I listened to myself. I had a download first service. And I listened to it, and I realized that we have to learn to live in a totally different way if we're really going to be successful spiritual beings living a successful human life. Because nothing will change the fact that we're spiritual, that we have a spirit that's everlasting, eternal, that we incarnate and we play human for a while. I don't know what we do afterwards. It's none of my business. But I believe that we have incarnated on the planet at this time, and you were called, thank you very much for that talk that was in a song. We have been called to come here because we want to learn how to be that spiritual being more successfully, to connect the spiritual and the material or being human more successfully, so that we don't feel pulled apart, instead we feel more whole. Wouldn't that seem successful? Meaning it would feel like we are living to our incredible potential. How many of you feel the potential? And then you also sometimes feel the I can't, I won't, how could I? To be integrated, think how successful you would feel. To be whole, to be integrated in that. One of the ways to do that is to have the information that you need at the time you need it. And the way that Ernest Holmes would talk about that is that we would have intuition. Intuition is the knowledge that we need coming from God at the time that we need it. Intuition. Now, let me get back to my download that I had first service. The world has gone through many ages. We had the hunt and gatherer stage of life, hunting and gathering. It was successful if there was crops, if there wasn't just natural food growing, they were hungry, and then they migrated and they followed herds of animals like another animal, hunting and gathering age. Then there was the agricultural age. Human beings learned to take some of the seeds of the plants they liked and to plant them and go, oh my goodness, we don't have to travel around looking for the right crop. Agricultural moved into the industrial, which moved into the information. Now we are in the information age, but we're at the end of the information age. Not that there's any lack of information or that we've accomplished all the information or we've found all the information we can. It's just that we've got all the information we can use. How many of you know you have all the information you could use? And if you don't, it's a cell phone click away, right? I mean, really, if you need information, you can get information, right? It's the using it, which means consciousness. We are moving into a consciousness age. Many people have said that. So that we take all those things, all the progress of our ancestors, and we use it to create something brand new. So that we don't seek more information, what we seek is more intelligence to use the information wisely, for us particularly. Because how many of you have researched yourself to death over a certain problem? It can happen, can't it? Wouldn't it be great to just know what you need to know in a way that's usable, that you can know it immediately? That's called intuition. And the more that we allow ourselves to be led intuitively, the more that we will live by by faith and not by sight, or we'll live by faith and not what we can conjure up or figure out. And then totally new ideas can show up. I saw a quote on our Facebook page, and it was by Steve Jobs, and I don't remember it entirely, and somebody's going to look it up, but I'm just going to paraphrase it anyway, because I like to do that. Steve's not around to contradict me anyway. So it basically said the most important thing is intuition. Steve Jobs is saying it's intuition. Can you imagine? He was probably very intuitive because he let new things happen through him. So knowing how to harness that intuition, that's what I want. And I know that it would shift the way that we live, because I know that I feel courageous and secure when what I'm doing is the right thing to do. When I don't have that intuitive hit, I have trepidation. But when I have it, man, I don't even care how it turns out, because I know I'm doing the right thing. So I want to share with you my process for getting there. And this is some of this you will know, and some of this might be new to you, but the first thing you have to do is accept that we live in an intelligent universe. How many of you really do accept that we live in an intelligent universe? I mean, it's pretty intelligent. I mean, think of the body. Think of the universe. Think of what it takes for us to survive on this planet. It is so intelligent. Now, there have been arguments that people are either evolutionary thinkers, like everything evolved, or there was intelligent design. I believe in an intelligent design. I just don't believe it happened in 6 days. I think God could, or the universe, or whatever you want to call it, could take as long as it took. But man, it's intelligent. So, we're with me? There's intelligence? Okay, so we live in an intelligent universe, and intelligence lives in us. So, it's intelligent, we're intelligent, because the life that lives everything lives us, and it's pretty darn intelligent. So, it must be intelligent in us. How many of you want to accept that you're really intelligent? We should see lots of hands. Because even if you're not aware of your intelligence, you are intelligent. There is an intelligence you don't even have to be aware of. I mean, think about it. Think of all the things that's happening in your body right now that you don't even have to pay attention to, because some sort of intelligence is taking over. I mean, think about it. You don't have to go beat, 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 breathe, 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 beat, beat, breathe, breathe, beat, 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 breathe, breathe, process, 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 flush, flush, beat, beat. I mean, really, it's all happening. And you're laughing because it's just this way of, we have to remind ourselves, because we tell ourselves something else, don't we, at times? How many of you have ever talked to yourself and told yourself that you weren't intelligent? That's impossible. You live in a mechanism of life that is so incredibly intelligent. Even your ability to think you're not. What's firing those synapses? Except some intelligence. So, God is, I am. We say that a lot, but we have to understand and really get down to this idea that God is intelligent, I am intelligent. God is intelligent, I am intelligent. We can't say God is intelligent and I'm stupid and not feel torn apart. Because the spirit in us rises up and says, God is intelligent, the universe is intelligent, you are intelligent, I am intelligent, there is only intelligence, but do you see how pulled apart we can become? So we have to accept there's an intelligence, and I'm a part of it. But like life, or love, or anything else, it's a constant. The universe is in a constant state of expression, and it seeks avenues for that expression. And we are the channel or the outlet through which that expression can happen. And in Sanskrit, the word for man meant dispenser. We are to dispense the divine. We are to dispense intelligence. We're made to show up as the ultimate reality. You want to know what your job is? Show up as ultimate reality. What do you think it is? You're it, tag. Now, I say it that way because, man, then we have this other conversation, which shuts the valve or the channel through which that ultimate reality can flow. We're the ones that turn off our intelligence. We're the ones that turn off love. We're the ones that dampen down the life. How many of you have felt your life dampening a little bit? You can open it up by saying, God is life, I am life. What are we saying to ourselves? I mean, this is just such basic metaphysics, but I need to say it because I'm going to ask you to know something you don't think you know. But before I can ask you to know something you don't think you know, I've got to ask you to open up and consider the fact that the only reason you don't know it is because you've been telling yourself you don't know it. I wish I knew. It doesn't come from out there. Unless, of course, you read this book, which is our book of the month, Everyday Oracles. and she reads clouds. Some people read tea leaves. She reads clouds. I love it. And she gets answers from clouds. I love it. It's perfect. And then she'll take pictures of the clouds to say, see what I saw? No, Don't see it, don't see it. But it was good for you. It's good. But so most of the time, the answers don't come from out there unless you are a cloud reader. But anyway, moving on. Because how many of you have something you want to know? Great. Will you work with me then? Great. Thank you. So let's open up. I've already opened you up by the idea that at least for this half hour that I'm talking, you are not going to say to yourself, make a covenant with yourself. You don't make a promise to me. Make a covenant with yourself that you will not say, I don't know. How would I know? Why would I know? No, none of the negative self-talk for at least a half an hour. Covenant? Great, thanks. Second step, I'd like you to activate your body intelligence because the whole body thinks. It's not just the gray matter that thinks, the whole body thinks. There's too much evidence for this, and I could go into a lot of things, and it's the 12 powers of man, and there's books on it, but I want to activate the part of the body that is open to wisdom, which is how intelligence shows up in humankind. The universe is intelligent, and when we are intelligent, we're called wise. Solomon was called wise. In fact, that's why he had, supposedly in the Bible, why he had so much is because he was wise. He knew what he had and how to use it. So you're going to start to activate your wisdom center by putting your hand on your solar plexus. Somebody asked me, what's a solar plexus? I realize not everybody just reads these weird books like I do. So anyway, this is your solar plexus. So right where you think your stomach is, where you might say your gut is, that's your solar plexus. So you're going to touch it, and by touching it, the body's going to say, ooh, really? You paying attention? Now, as you touch it, I want you to imagine that solar center, sun center. I want you to imagine that right here, there is within you a warm, not burning, but warm, bright center of light. A warm, bright center of light. So you're physically igniting and opening up your wisdom center. The wisdom center is not up here. There's other centers up here. This is the center of wisdom. This is where your gut, how many of you have heard, follow your gut? This is it. In the East, before they did a whole lot of anatomy and broke things apart, they honestly thought the brain was here, because they would follow what this said more than what they thought. So you're activating that. Now you can remove your hand, but imagine that you're removing your hand, but there's still this bright light being activated in here. Notice how you sit differently if this is open. It does things to you. Now, say very calmly, just silently to yourself, the universe is intelligent. I am intelligent. I am the place where wisdom shows up. So you prepared yourself. Now, state specifically what it is you need to know. What do you need to know? State it very specifically. In the Bible it says, ask and ye shall receive, knock and it shall be opened. So we need to be very specific. Now, notice what happens in your solar plexus when you ask the question. How many of you got an answer immediately? Just raise your hands if you did. How many of you in your solar plexus kind of went, I do have an answer for those of you that raised your hand. For those of you that when you ask and your solar plexus goes, it means you don't want to know. I don't want to know. One of the reasons why people don't know is because they don't want to know. All sorts of reasons to want to know. If you know, you might have to do something. They say that ignorance is bliss, and I don't know that I want to change. I don't know that I want to act on what I might know. I don't know that I want to face my weaknesses or the hurdles ahead of me. And besides that, what if I don't get an answer? Does that mean the universe doesn't love me? I'd rather not know. How many of you, when I said those things, how many of you, one of them seemed to resonate? Okay, so let's do a prayer. Only for those people that raised their hand. The rest of you just listen. So I speak my word of creation. For I know that as intelligence is present, so is love, and love casts out all fear. And the love of life as love, the creative impulse as love now moves into and as our consciousness to reveal to us our strength and our courage and our ability to handle anything, to walk through any door, the ability to look at anything, the ability to know anything. I give thanks that we are coming from our divine inner strength, our divine inner heritage of the kingdom. We are so filled with confidence, each and every one of us, that we don't mind knowing what we need to know when we need to know it, because anything that we would know has to be for our benefit, for the universe is in a conspiracy for our benefit. And as I know that for myself, and I know that for each person here, we are now even more open to receive the answer that we need. So once again, ask. Ask what you need to know. And just pay attention. Now, some of you will receive something, and some of you may receive something a little later. You might see, I love this woman, everything speaks to her, which is very, very, it's not only Native American and Native Canadian, it's all Indigenous people. Indigenous people believe everything is alive and everything speaks, everything's intelligence. So you might not get it here, but you might walk out into the parking lot and all of a sudden you see something and a revelation happens. It happened to me once. I was demanding to know why something wasn't happening at this workshop I was at. I was so angry, and because I was the only minister and there's this group of people and they were having insights and ahas and I was getting nothing. Why? And of course, I had all sorts of answers like God doesn't love me, God loves them more, I'm a fake, I'm a failure, I should get another occupation. And then all of a sudden I looked down and I saw this rock. And it seemed like the rock just downloaded all of its love into me. And honestly, indigenous people will say everything is alive and ready to give to you and ready to receive. And I think I was just at my wit's end, and all of a sudden all this love came at me, and I realized I was perfect the way I was, and I was like, oh, I don't even care what they got. Now that's a download. Because in a second I went from I hate them, why them, to who cares? There was no thought process. It was like, boom, boom, boom. Different. I'm different. Now, see, if I'd asked what I wanted to be different, if I'd been asked, the reason I know it was a divine download is because I didn't want to know it was okay not to know what they knew. My personality, my ego really wanted me to look like the smart one, the beloved that was getting all sorts of insights from the universe. I don't want to know that I'm just loved. But when you're loved and all of a sudden everything changed, it was perfectly okay to know I was just loved. So you'll either have something while you're sitting here, or if you really asked and you're really open and you're really willing to be receptive to what's always available, which is intelligence, it will happen somewhere. And it'll be perfect for you. You will get your perfect answer in a way that you can understand. This beautiful woman understands clouds. She'd be perfect in Seattle. But she lives in Arizona. She waits a long time for those clouds. God bless her. After you get an answer, the next thing to do is ask for confirmation. Because we don't know where that answer came from. There are psychics out there, and you are psychic. Psychic means mind. Everything's in mind. There's one mind. There's good stuff in mind. There's not such good stuff in mind. There's all sorts of stuff in mind. So I always ask for confirmation. Now, I don't do it so much anymore unless it's really out there, but I now know how intuition works in me. I know what it does to my body, so I know when I've got it. But for a long time, I would always ask for confirmation. If the universe can give you a message, it can confirm the message. I mean, my goodness, my dentist sends out at least 5 different confirmations. Where to get the idea? From the universe. It sends out confirmations. So if you pay attention and if you're open, you will get objective confirmation. You want that. Because you can have it. Because you don't know if you're not how many of you know that sometimes, and this is why you're afraid to listen, is that it might be your own desire speaking. And you look at it as like a sign. I mean, Tim and I don't eat, this is a joke, but it's actually true. I mean, it's going to sound funny, but it's true. We do not go down the frozen food aisles in the grocery store because we used to take it as a sign to buy ice cream. Really, we would. We'd go, oh, look at this, Haagen-Dazs. It's on sale. It's a sign. We just don't. How many of you have done that? I want to do this. Oh, look at this. Oh, my goodness. This confirms my idea. You ask for a download, and you ask for confirmation. And if you're still not clear, you ask for more confirmation. There's no end to the confirmation you can have because there's no end to intelligence and ways that the universe can show up and say the same old thing over and over again until you finally get it. Then, ask yourself, is this guidance big enough? Because your guidance will not be small and petty. Because in the spiritual realm of things, one of the words for this spiritual realm is called good. And it's got to be a big good, which means it's not only good for you, it's good for everybody else. The download that comes from spirit and not the psychic realm will be a blessing for everyone concerned. So ask yourself, is this a blessing for everyone concerned? If so, then keep on going. Now, I want to say that because there was a gentleman who's been in the news. He was a tow truck operator, and he did not tow someone's car because on the back of the person's car was a bumper sticker supporting a candidate he didn't approve of. That's questionable. But what he said was, Jesus told me to just drive away and leave a woman on the road who's disabled. Nah, Jesus doesn't do that. Jesus wouldn't go on and on about the Good Samaritan if it was really okay to be prejudiced before you serve somebody. But it's not about that person. I say that because I know I can have a tendency to do that too. So I have to ask myself, if what I'm getting, is this a big good? A big good. Yes. No, it's actually, that was a confirmation. It's like, you know what? That was baby for preach it, sister. Okay. Then you have to be willing to follow your intuition. If you don't, it will shut it down. Remember back that spigot that we are dispenser of all that is a heavenly idea, all that is the attribute of what we think the universe is. We are a dispenser of that. You cut that off if you don't act. Which is one of the reasons we don't want to know. We have to actually make a promise ahead of time that we'll act if we know. And you'll know as much as you know. Like, you just start. I know to take this step, and then I know to take that step. And you're not going to be led into an area where there's a cliff and there's no bridge. That wouldn't be intelligent, would it? So, start moving in the direction the guidance gives you. The more you use your intuition, the more you will get downloads without asking. I love downloads. When I get them, I'm so happy. It is to me like manna from heaven. And they're not huge, but they're enough for each day. And it feeds me, and it will feed any of us. And we will survive. We will go beyond survival into thriving if we allow ourselves to be fed daily by the information that we need. Now, I'm going to open this up for questions in a moment, but before I get there, Dottie, hello Dottie Martin, we love you. Dottie Martin, why did you go to the Midwest? Tell me what download you had, but anyway, never mind. Anyway, email me later. Dottie wanted to know about dueling intuitions, because I put it on Facebook, who asked questions about intuitions, and I'm going to just paraphrase what she said. She said, 2 of us have an intuition about what to do, and they don't agree. Boy, that's touchy, isn't it? No, I heard it from God. No, the earth told me. Here's the deal. Dottie, it's your life. Never live off someone else's intuition. Their intuition's their intuition. You don't know where it comes from. If you really believe that you are having a spiritual download of information, then you have to act on it. Now, this is the idea. It's spiritual. It's big. It's good. And downloads of spiritual information or intelligence is always wrapped in peace and power. God does not work in hysteria. Even if you got a download to not get on a train or not take that trip or not be in that marriage, it would not be hysterical. It would not be laden with emotion. That comes from the psychic realm. A true spiritual download is like ka-chunk. And it just speaks for itself. And let the other person get their own download. It might not be that you work together. Another question that was asked of me after first service was, I've been working with the law of attraction, and I made a list. You know where this is going. And I met the list. But I don't love the list. It just doesn't feel right. And I said, well, there's an answer for you. Because, see, never marry a list. I've done that. Ask me about failed relationships, because I've majored in them. But when I asked to meet the person in which I could live with the rest of my life and be totally supported through all the changes that I will make in such a way that I am always satisfied and fulfilled, then someone who wasn't anywhere on my list showed up. You really will know what you want when you look deep. The mind tries to fix things. Spirit knows when it is found its fulfillment. So, any other questions? PJ has a microphone. Because intuition's a big thing. So right over there. Here's an opportunity for us to ask any questions you've got.
Good morning.
Good morning.
What's the difference between that continual process of asking for confirmation and not knowing? Where does the difference? Because you could stay in asking for confirmation forever.
Then you'd get your ask. Then eventually you'd have to say to yourself, "Why is it I just don't want to take this message?" I mean, I think it's all going to change because this is a dance with the universe. And sometimes it's hard to learn a whole new dance. Let's say you've been a ballerina and all of a sudden the universe says, "Oh, want to tango, my dear?" Oh. And you start to tango, but then you just don't quite know how to tango. And so you might start asking, "My gosh, really back? Where's the, So this takes a while. But you will know. You will know when you're using this as an excuse not to do what you've been told to do.
Yeah.
See, I trust that we all know. I'm just here to tell you what you know that you want to know, which is that you know. And we've got to give up this whole thing about I don't know, because if you knew you knew, think of the life you would live if you knew you knew. Because one of the best excuses ever to not live the life you want to live is this: I don't know. Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other? Way back there.
In your example, you talked about getting past the list to the real question. That's, for me, half the battle. How do I get to the real question?
Well, you do know the real question.
I'm stuck on a list, whatever it is.
Yes, I know the list.
But I'm not getting to the real question. When I do, it's like this, got it.
So what you do is really, you can have a download if you want, but you ask your heart, what is it that would be satisfying and fulfilling for me? Because that's a great question. See, the list is just the trappings that we make up, whether it's a job or a relationship or anything. It's what we in our own human ability try to structure something that really our heart knows can only be fulfilled by something that is beyond what we can structure. See, what was interesting is I met Tim, and yeah, I kind of knew about his background, but I had no idea how much he would love horses. I had no idea as I changed to love farming and that kind of stuff that he would say, I'm just a farm boy. I mean, we didn't know that. But see, I wanted someone that I could grow with and change with, who would grow and change with me. And you see, the big good knew what that would take. Because at the time, I was living in Pioneer Square, living the city life, thinking that was really hot. But see, there is no time or space or linear unfoldment in God. It knows, Einstein says we make up time because we can't handle the dimensions that are possible to us. But we live in a universe that handles all those dimensions. So when you ask your heart, you're not just asking your heart for this moment, you're asking your heart for the future and anything else that will evolve. And I'm like amazed that I could find somebody whose thrill is looking at tractors. He's got 3 and he still has tractor envy. We go in the neighborhood and he goes, that guy got a new tractor. John Deere. 2013, I know it. It's 7 years newer than mine. Looks the same, honey. Mows grass. So that's why you ask your heart, because your heart does know. And sometimes we have to let the list only works at the level of the mental, and this is about spiritual living. And our heart is just as wise as the solar plexus. And it will speak of our deep wants, our deep desires. And spirit knows how to fill that if we're willing to listen. Does that kind of answer your question? Thank you. All right, let's pray. How many of you have an answer to your question? A few of you. Then I'll pray for the rest of you to get the answer that you need. Because I believe. Let's just take a deep breath. Exhale. There is one life. That life is an intelligent life. And that intelligent life is my life now. That intelligent life lives each and every person here. We are intelligent by nature. We live and move and have our being in intelligence. And so I give thanks that this beautiful divine time that we have together, we are opening up to the intelligence that wants to be expressed through us, to reveal to us how easy it is to live by faith and not by sight, to trust that every move can be directed by something greater than ourselves. I am so grateful that we are here, and I speak my word of blessing for each question asked. I bless each question asked, knowing that each question was the beginning of an answer. In fact, the question was asked because the answer wants to be known. And the two are coming together in a way that is profoundly, beautifully orchestrated for the person who thinks they're asking. But really, they're just heeding the answer that wants to be expressed to that person. For if there is a whole, there is not question and then answer. There is just the unfoldment of intelligence. Thank you, sweet Spirit. I bless the question. I bless the questioner. I bless the answer as it emerges. I bless the courage to follow the answer. I bless the courage to open up to the next step. I bless it all, for all of it is the action of intelligence through us. I am so grateful that we live in an intelligent universe. I am so grateful that we are loved beyond our wildest comprehension, and love urges us, pushes us, leads us on to accept what is our greater yet to be. And there is no end to that. Oh, hallelujah, brothers and sisters. Now that's the gospel, and so it is.